What it do, what it do?
Your boys are back.
It's a seated Coach Estrada.
Fresh from the OC Classic.
We back with our typical Saturday episode.
Football's back.
1 week to college football. Welcome back, Middle Thoughts family. It is your host, The Seed. I am back with Coach Estrada for our weekly Saturday episode. How is everybody doing today? I hope we're all having a wonderful day. It's nice outside. While you're enjoying this nice weather and sipping on something, we are going to get into a recap of some of the recent picks and sports bets that I have made that were highlights to my takes in my career so far, and touch base on some of the other things like the preseason and everything that's going on with that. We also had a fantasy football draft we're going to get into today. That's finally came. That's finally went. I finally made my decision. I'm going to turn this over to Coach Estrada, and he's going to start off by recapping this OC Classic that he went out that he said was a major part of his career. So let's hear about it.
What up, y'all? I'm back. OC Classic sick. So it's always the first full weekend in August, so usually like August 8th through 10th. But this year was kind of cool, so I always play for the same team as I have been in the 30s bracket, which is RER, which is a brewery out of Cambridge, Maryland. So shout out to those guys for continuing to allow me to play on your roster and your team, and man, that beer is always good. So I love those guys. But I kind of started out there, went out there to watch a couple of my nephews play, just kind of let them get a little bit of knowledge from me as they were playing through the tournament, and I kind of give them some support. I also did a little bit of video recording and stuff, which I'll post on our Instagram and stuff as well, just to kind of see some of the stuff I was doing when I was out there. Kind of interesting how it went down. I was walking up there on Thursday with my wife and my dog and then my two nephews. So walking out to the game, and I run into the guy who runs it. So he's like, yo, what's up, bro? And I was like, hey, man, not much. I heard watching my nephews play. He's like, are you coaching? I was like, nah, I'm just kind of hanging. He kind of looked concerned. So I was like, oh, man, what's going on? And then he was like, oh, man, I could use a coach. I was like, you need me to coach this team? He's like, yeah. He's like, what team is your nephews on? I was like, they're on the Beach Boys team. He was like, dude, no way. And I was like, yeah, what's up? He was like, look, if you can coach today and coach tomorrow, I'll give you some swag and some cash. I was like, shoot, swag and cash.
That sounds like a pretty good deal to run into on a day off.
You feel me? So went out there, coached this random group of kids, had a blast. Increased my following base a little bit, talked about the podcast some, made a couple $100 in cash, and got some free swag.
How did it all go when you were there? You guys win any games?
When I was coaching, we went 1-3, and then but one of the games we lost. We lost by 1. I had like 8 kids. I have more goalies than I had actual players. I actually had this one kid named Ellis. He was a goalie of mine, and I had to put him at attack. He somehow scores the first goal of the game. We lost this game 3-2, so I was like, you know what, man? Not so bad. For the youth boys, it went great, man. I've gotten a lot of shout-outs on social media stuff from them, a good amount of follows and stuff. That might have been something cool that I did for the kids that could be blowing up this podcast. So if any of the boys from the OC Classic was out there, Coach Estrada, what's up, my boys? Thanks for listening.
Well, shout out to you for taking the time out of your day to do that. My man is always down to present himself an opportunity that benefits other people. So if you ever see this man out and you got a question or anything, feel free to ask.
Started off playing the Secrets team, which is usually a great group of guys. I know my homeboys named Corey's on that team, which you know what? I got a group of dudes that I'm friends with named Corey. They're all pretty solid dudes. So I don't know if you got a Corey in your life. If you do, I'm pretty sure he's probably a pretty solid guy.
I'm not the Corey that plays lacrosse.
Nah, that's a different Corey. He plays for Columbia's national team too. That's my guy. So I played against them, had a real good game. We beat them by 1. I actually had a pretty big hit on one of their teammates that set the game going. We ended up playing a couple other teams. We lost one in overtime and lost another tight one. Went to the playoffs, handled one team pretty well. Saw the championship, faced Secrets again, lost them by 1 goal. It was tough. Outside of that, had a great time with the boys. Shoot, the nightlife there was great, man. Hit Secrets a couple times, hit the Eversher Crab Cake House.
Make sure you tap into that Crab Cake House. I ain't gonna hold you. I've been there once. Top tier food. We gonna roll into this preseason football, Jovan. What's your favorite take of week 1 so far to this point?
I think my favorite take right now is all the Colorado players had a pretty good time. I've seen some film, I understand it is week 1, but it appears in the opportunities that are laid before them that players like Shador, Shiloh, Vontae, that was a running back from the Ravens, There was another player. I mean, there's Travis Hunter too and stuff. So I heard they had pretty good jobs. I've seen some film of them doing well. Also very happy about my very own Jackson Dart from the Giants. He looked really good out there.
Yeah, a lot of them rookie quarterbacks look good this week. Shedeur really came out and I know surprised a lot of people. I never really thought he was a bad quarterback. He just ain't beat nobody that was really worth anything in college. So my biggest issue was his transition to the NFL speed because he's taking a big leap in talent. But from what he showed in the preseason, that's cool. The preseason and the regular season are two different beasts. So just because they show flashes in the preseason don't mean that's going to translate later. They're going to get into much more complex defensive systems once you get to the regular season, and you're going to have better players on the field. Don't get too high behind the hype train. I like to see all these quarterbacks succeeding. It's one of the best positions to watch the play. Jackson Dart came out slinging the ball. I watched that game too. He was really throwing it. Cam Ward came out and had a couple tosses. You could tell that offense is to be worked on. He came out and had a really good drive with Calvin Ridley on the second one. He threw 3 balls to him, and every one of them were over 12 yards, and they were all catches. So there's things to be seen. My favorite play of the preseason was that kickoff by Trey Henderson. And my man took that thing and just said, let me hold this, and ran it right past everybody, bro. That man's fast. That man is fast.
Oh, yeah. And don't be discouraged by Ashton Genty in the game that he had with the Raiders. Like he didn't look like he did so much. Give him a second. Give him a chance. He's on pull back out. Like, that's a real young team, a whole lot of new people. You got to remember, not all the ones are out there. Not all the systems are out there.
Yeah, and don't be discouraged by that offensive line. They don't have the greatest offensive line. That's no secret. However, they don't have their pieces together. It's the preseason. They're going to be building and working on this throughout the next couple weeks. He'll be able to run the ball when week 1 comes. Don't think just because he got blew up on 3 plays that's going to be the story of his season. Because if it is, and that's the way the NFL worked, there would be a lot of players out here that would not be the names that they are today.
I am happy, though, in the preseason. We did see a lot of actual veteran starters going in, like Patrick Mahomes wants to play, and Russell Wilson getting out there. There's been a lot of times in the past where that first preseason game, you never saw any veterans. It was really just usually rookies and a whole lot of super backups. Well, I'm not saying that every single one on the roster was out there, but it was quite nice to see a good mixture of veterans out there, getting out there, supporting the guys. Football is starting to feel more like football again, more than prima donna, which I know football is always going to be prima donna, but I think that we're going to get a little bit of a better culture from football with these NIL deals in college, and these college kids staying a little bit longer. So I feel like with college kids getting paid a bit while they're in school, the people who are there in it, that were in it just for the money, will just get in college and probably won't try to go to the league. I think we're going to start soon getting a better quality of player. But that's just off of me just seeing week 1 of preseason. I just kind of really like the camaraderie I started seeing again.
We actually spoke on this topic last year, if you remember. My biggest take was these starters sitting out the entire preseason and not playing until the 3rd week of the preseason, or playing the 2nd week and then sitting out the 3rd week. They don't play football for a year. And then you expect them to sit out and only do practice for an entire month and then show up and be able to execute on the game field. Of course, you're going to start off slow. Look at the Cincinnati Bengals the last couple of years. They haven't been able to generate a win in the first 2 weeks. It's not because their offense ain't good. It's not because they didn't have a good team a couple years ago. It's because they didn't play in the preseason. And when they had 4 preseason games, it was cool to sit them out for a little while because you could get a real look at your talent. But once they shrunk that down, now you only have 3 preseason games. So instead of playing your starters the first quarter, the first half, and a little bit of the 3rd quarter, and then pulling them for the 4th game, now you're just not playing them at all. I think a lot of the teams wisened up this year and said, if we really want to have a shot to get off in the beginning of the season, we need to play our guys and get ready now. Not wait until week 3 before we got a 2-week bye week before our first game to put these guys out there.
No, I completely agree. And I think that's also the reason why we had so many injuries in the previous years, because a lot of times those players that are going in there and getting their first bump as real live action, their bodies are not prepared. They get the thuds. And I'm not saying the preseason games are full speed, but they're at least getting 65 to 75 versus no hits at all, nothing that rough at practice, then getting 100% hit by J.J. Watt, Myles Garrett, or Micah Parsons.
Because hits like that will beat you down. You made a good point, because when you start the season off and you have no play, you haven't really been hit, it might take your body a little bit longer to get into that, let me play through this pain. You know, like I said, it's a chemistry thing in a lot of cases. You can have the best wide receiver and the best quarterback in the world, but if they can't get on the same page, they're going to struggle together. I feel like teams realized this year that them first 2-3 weeks are more critical than they originally thought they were. Part of this, too, is they transferred the league to a 17-game season, and you gave them an extra game. So a lot of these coaches and staffs were like, you know what? We got to protect our players for a longer season. We're going to play them less in the preseason because they got an extra game to play now. They sacrificed week 1 and 2 for weeks 16 and 17. And the problem with that is you start off slow and you lose them 2 games, and then you get to the end of the season and you need one of those wins in order to get into the playoffs. But because you didn't play your starters all preseason, you don't have those wins now. Or you lost that close game that is the difference between you going home and staying in the league this year.
I think the NFL should move the All-Star game to the middle of the season, just like basketball, baseball, and hockey does, just to give the teams like an extra bye week. In my mind, either they need a second bye week, or why not just have a middle like All-Star break? I think that would create better football, but also a better longevity of it. We would increase our participation with it. It'd be a lot more fun to watch, but like it also gives like something to do. Like, it's like right now the Pro Bowl is kind of a joke anyway, and it happens right before the Super Bowl, so it's kind of stupid. But I think if we did it halfway through the season, that'd be something that'd be pretty huge.
There's a bunch of different ways I feel they could go with the All-Star game at the end of the year, the Pro Bowl, whatever they call it these days. Where they really went wrong was the Pro Bowl was supposed to be a celebration of the best players of the year. That is what it was supposed to be. When they moved it from behind the Super Bowl to in front of the Super Bowl, basically made it so players that are on the Super Bowl teams don't get to play. So because they were filling a lot of these spots so other guys could get in, that's really where it took a downturn. I'm not saying that going back to that method would fix anything now. The whole point of it was to put the best players out there. And if you're in the Super Bowl, obviously you had some of the best teams. You were one of the most watched team in the country, and you're taking those players off of that field and not even putting them there. It doesn't really make sense for people to watch it because it's really, what is it? It's really just a scrimmage between the rest of the league.
And what do you mean you get to watch the Super Bowl MVP in that game? That's weird. Coach of the year doesn't get to be out there.
Exactly. You got a bunch of guys that weren't even the best in here. Now you're putting them out on the field to compete. It's not as fun to watch.
Not at all. And honestly, I think that gives you a bit more value when it comes to fantasy football too. So imagine you have a mid-season All-Star break, and then during that time in fantasy football, you can set up like special rules. You can have like mid-season trade deadlines or like mid-season things that you can do with your teams and stuff.
They could definitely make it so that way it's lined up on a bye week and on the trade deadline. All they would have to do is push the trade deadline back a little bit. And the NFL's always had an early trade deadline, though. It's still week 6, right?
Yeah, it's somewhere between week 6 and week 8. Where most sports seasons, their trade deadline is until like the last month of the season. So imagine if they bumped back the trade deadline, made it also the All-Star break, which actually, how about this? The All-Star break, at the end of it is when the end of the trade deadline is. So you have from at that point, the All-Stars that are there, and then like at the end of All-Star week or the Pro Bowl week, then that's where the trade line is dead right there.
Like the trade deadline in the MLB is actually right after the All-Star break. It's like, I think, a week after, roughly like 90 games or whatever. And then you get about another 5 to 10 after the All-Star break. So you get about 100 games and then they're cutting it. When you think about that, that's like 60% of the way through the league year when you're talking 162 games. So the NFL doing it in week 6 or week 8, you're not even halfway through the season yet. Still pulling the trigger early. You could give them more time to get some rest, like you say, heal some of them injuries. It's the biggest contact sport in the world. Giving them an extra week, I don't think it's going to hurt anything. And all it's going to do is generate more revenue for the NFL.
Well, we'd like to hear from all you guys out there. What do you think about this preseason? What do you like? What don't you like? Did you watch any of the games? Is there anybody on your specific team that you're excited about? Make sure you talk to us in the comments. Let us know what's up.
And I got a question that I need answered. Do you think Travis Hunter is worth drafting in fantasy football? Do you think he will average more or less than 13 points a game this year?
Now, that's an interesting question. And the reason why he asked that is because we had a recent fantasy draft where he had picks 1 and 2, and I had pick number 3.
Travis Hunter didn't go till pick number 6.
So, since he did go from pick number 6, you had pick 1 and 2. So, what happened, Seed? What went down?
So, based on the way my roster was constructed, I could have gone a couple ways this year. I was thinking about going double running back and taking Genty and Hampton. About a week before the draft, I realized that I had a key problem. Both my quarterbacks this year had a week 5 bye because I have Penix Jr. and I have Jordan Love starting out this year. And my other quarterback that I have on the roster is Anthony Richardson and Daniel Jones because I don't know which is going to start this year, and it's a super flex league, so I can start 2 quarterbacks. I passed up on Hampton. I needed to fill that quarterback void because I can't rely on Anthony Richardson to win me a fantasy football week in week 5. And I went with Cam Ward with number 2, and I took Genty with number 1. Rounded out my running back core with Kyron Williams, Bijan Robinson, Genty, and Christian McCaffrey. Fix my quarterback problem. If he plays anything in the NFL like he did in Miami, I'm looking at my next Patrick Mahomes. He could be a top 10 quarterback in the league within the next 3 to 4 years. Hopefully he can propel me to a couple championships.
Now after that, you had a 3rd pick left, right?
Well, after we move in from my 2 picks, Coach Estrada was up with pick number 3.
So pick number 3 was kind of interesting for me. Asid and I have been talking probably for a couple months now about this. We talk about a lot of football. Even though we compete against each other, we still bounce ideas. He asked me who I was going to take one day, and I told him I was going to take Cam Ward. The reason why is because I'm looking at my quarterback situation, and I have Patrick Mahomes, J.J. McCarthy, who's coming into his first season. I think he drafted last year, not getting played. I also have Joe Flacco, even though he's old, just kind of picked him up. I got Geno Smith. So I'm kind of looking at this, and I'm like, man, Cam Ward probably great. You kind of plug in just in case J.J. McCarthy's pan out. Then I'm like going to handle my draft the rest of the way. So I had my 1st round pick, I had a 2nd round pick, and then I had his 3rd round picks. 1, 3, 2, 3, and 3, 1. Kind of made an interesting decision. I decided I wanted to trade Travis Kelce for an extra 2nd round pick, even though I know a lot of people are going to think I'm crazy, but I decided that I really needed to kind of build up my roster a little bit.
And in a dynasty league, trading him this year is a good decision. How many years does he have left? You got to sell him now before he's not worth anything. I love the 2nd round pick that he traded for. He's going to tell you why, because of who he took.
So we entered the 2nd round, and I'm going to start talking about that. Asid doesn't have any more picks, so I'm kind of like just talking to him. I was like, okay, cool. I'm looking at the round in. Originally, I had traded the 2nd round pick because I wanted to replace with a tight end. There's a couple other tight ends that are in. I was like, I can get one in the 2nd round. But then the tight ends went in the 1st round. And I went, oh. So now my 2-3 pick comes up, and I go, okay, what do I do with this? I go, wait a minute. We're in our FaceTime. I go, I'm about to do something dicey. I was like, because we were the only ones that took running backs off the board. Besides, like, we took the main 3 guys. That rookie running back from the Browns is still available. I'm sitting there looking at him. I was like, I know he got some legal troubles going on, but at the 2-3 spot, I was like, if he pans out, that could be a future running back right there. So I was like, man, I got to take that.
Especially considering he was supposed to be a 1st round draft pick, a mid-1st round draft pick, and you got a mid-2nd round. That's a steal, even if he doesn't pan out.
So I was like, word. All right, cool. So originally I was going to turn that into a wide receiver, but all the wide receivers that were there kind of like weren't really my thing. So I was like, cool. So I picked him up because I was like, great. You know, I can have 2 good running backs. Running backs in our league are kind of sparse. That's a starter. And then the next couple rounds, the next couple picks go up, and I go, interesting. So then the 2-7 that I traded Travis Kelce for a pick comes up. So I go, well, I didn't get Cam Ward. Jackson Dart came off the board, actually. Yeah, he was the 2nd pick in the 2nd round. So when Jackson Dart came off the board, I said, interesting. So I turned that Travis Kelce pick into Shedeur Sanders. So we're going to recap exactly how this draft went to give you guys a preview of what it is. During this video, I'll actually post some of our draft stuff in there so that way y'all can like see it if anybody wants to watch it live.
All right, so we already know how the first 3 picks went. I went Genty and Cameron Ward to put me back in the competitive edge of being a playoff contender. Year 1, I went to the championship, and I lost in the championship because I traded for Christian McCaffrey, and then he got hurt during that ridiculous season he was having. I traded Mike Evans, so you can tell how much that hurt because Mike Evans has been one of the best fantasy wide receivers in the last 2 years. He's got almost 30 touchdowns. That was a tough pill to swallow. Last year, I had a couple injuries. Like I said, Christian McCaffrey didn't really play at all. So that was a tough loss. I also lost TJ Hockenson, a star tight end, to an ACL injury, and he didn't come back until midway through the season. And of course, when you come back from that, you're not going back to playing 100 snaps a game. So I'm not really getting him back truly until this year. But this year, my team is so far coming in healthy. I got a lot of depth. Like I said, I got Kyron Williams, I got Bijan Robinson, I got T. Higgins, I got Xavier Worthy, I got Genty now, we got Christian McCaffrey, we got Jordan Love. Like I said, I should be able to put together a decent season. Coach Estrada took Amarion Hampton at 3. Unfortunately, I wanted him too, but I had to make the decision I couldn't afford to go double running back and leave Richardson, not with the way he's been playing. The fourth pick of the night really surprised me. It was McMillan out of Carolina, new wide receiver that Bryce Young got.
I was shocked.
I was shocked too because I haven't really seen too many reports, and anything I have seen is basically that he's 50-50 at best. And that Carolina team is nothing to be special about right now. So if you can't beat them, how you going to beat the rest of the league?
That's one of the guys I was potentially going to take in the second round. So I was like, maybe I can get this wide receiver, maybe at that 2-7 spot.
Now, what surprised me was McMillan went over Trey Henderson. I thought for sure that Henderson was going to be the lock at 4. He ended up falling to pick number 5. And then pick number 6 also blew me away. For pick number 6, it was the wide receiver from Tampa Bay, Ibuka. Stunned. He was supposed to be a high second round pick, and he went with pick number 6.
Another guy I was potentially looking at.
Now, don't get me wrong. I actually love this pick at number 6. I do not feel like this was a reach. If I am going to argue, he was my number 1 wide receiver in the draft this year out of everybody that's on this board. McMillan, they want him to be the next Calvin Johnson. He does have the size. I'm just not convinced that he's got the versatility and the speed to get separation. The cornerbacks are starting to get bigger. It's not like he's going to be playing against 5'10" guys. They got cornerbacks now that are 6'1", 6'2" with length. That 3 inches does help. Doesn't necessarily give you the advantage that you think it will unless you're throwing the ball up in the air and hoping it's a jump ball. And that can get you in trouble. Travis Hunter went off the board at 7. 7, fell all the way to 7. He was projected to be the 3rd pick. After that, we had a double running back, Tondra, come off the board. We had RJ Harvey and Caleb Johnson. I knew both of them guys were going to be flying off the board after the 2 running backs came off early because the running back market is depleted in our league, with the exception of a couple guys.
So I was actually pretty shocked that those 2 running backs are coming off the board at that time too. I was like, interesting. Because there's another running back I'm watching this time. I'm like, okay. All right, well, I guess they're not going to pick him up. Let's see if he falls to me. I'm talking to Corey. I was like, do you think this player falls to me?
Once again, Jukins was supposed to be a mid-first round. He was projected to go 6, I think. It was either 5 or 6. And we are through the first 9 picks, and he's still not off the board. Like Coach said, he took him with the 3rd pick of the second round, which was a steal, especially considering that after he went double running back, all the reliable starters are now off the board at that point that you know are going to come in and get touches week 1. The last guy, pick number 10, I feel like he took a really good safe pick in taking Tyler Warren. He's got good hands. We're excited about him. I'm a Colts fan, so I'm excited to see how he fits into our offense.
So this is actually the pick that I wanted, that I traded Travis Kelce for.
If you would have asked me, which he never asked me for the record, if you would have asked me if he would have been available at 2-3, I would have told you no.
But I was just kind of looking at our league and what some of the things the guys were talking about and who had picks. I was like, you know what? He might be there for me. But the thing is, once I saw it come off the board and looking at the other guys, there's a gift that was left for me.
The next pick that came off the board was actually surprising as well. It was Jackson Dart. I definitely thought Shedeur was going to be the second quarterback off the board after that preseason game, but he was not. I do like Jackson Dart. I liked him at Ole Miss. I feel like he's a little bit underrated. I feel like he's a little bit underdrafted. He's got a chance to show us. He's got neighbors out there to throw to this year, so he ain't got no excuses. He got an Odell Beckham Jr. that he can throw to, so we're going to see what he got going on. After that, we get into the rundown of Colston Love, the tight end for Chicago. Quentin Jukins went 3, the coach. Matthew Golden went next. Jaden Higgins went after that. Jadon Blue went after that. And then Shedeur went after that, the coach. And then Cam Scatterboo came off the board late second round, which was honestly a good value position, but he got hurt, so I understand the fall. And then you had Trey Harris and Luther Burden to get through the top 2 rounds of a draft.
My pick 3-1's a good one. He's going to be a day 1 starter. Jack Beck, he's going to be wide receiver 2 out there. That was a starter that I grabbed right there.
Yeah, I mean, my pick 2 wasn't bad either. I took Ilek Ayomanor. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong. I took him because I took Cam Ward. From the way the roster's built right now and the way the wide receivers are, when Calvin Ridley moves on or loses his role, this is going to be the guy that takes over. He's beating out the other wide receiver that they drafted so far. I like to continue to see this rise. I like to see that he builds with Cam Ward, and hopefully Cam Ward can turn these 2 into a wide receiver duo that people don't want to deal with.
I actually got to pick up for you. If you got the roster space in the waivers, you should also pick up Respido. They picked him up. He was undrafted. I know his numbers for the combine weren't that great, But the thing is, Respitos actually was Cam Moore's guy in Miami. Like they have a pretty good duo. So definitely grab him. If you have a taxi, send him in that taxi. So Corey, I think you should go ahead, grab him and take him to the side. I'm not grabbing him myself because he's not worth it to me. So as you guys saw, that I didn't pick up a tight end during that time because I actually looked our situation on our free agency and we have an abundance of tight ends available. So I elected against the tight end. I went running back, quarterback, and then went wide receiver. So that addresses my future, my running back situations, even though I got some pretty young guys. And then it also establishes my quarterback situation. So if both J.J. McCarthy and Shedeur pans out, especially next couple of years, I might be selling Patrick Mahomes here soon.
My biggest surprise of this entire draft was actually two people that didn't get drafted. Considering that we're in a super flex league, the first one was you had the Saints quarterback Tyler Shuck, did not get drafted. I was a little surprised by that because, like I said, we are a super flex dynasty league and you can start two quarterbacks. Typically, quarterbacks like that don't hit the open market because they're going to get snaps. I do like his situation in New Orleans. There's a reason they went and got this guy. There's something that they saw that they liked. Don't count him out before you see what plays, because if there's a reason why that coaching staff went after him over other guys, there might be something that you're not seeing too. It might not be this year. Might not be next year, but this kid's going to get a chance, and it's going to be sooner rather than later. When he gets that chance, it's going to really show you, and the worst thing you do is have to drop him later.
For real. So, yeah, remember, so this is a dynasty draft, so that means that we're only drafting rookies. So if you guys are wondering why we're not talking about other players, this is a dynasty draft. That means it's the same guys every year, same rosters every year. Each year we get draft picks, which is why I traded a player for picks, so I had 4 picks in this draft.
And you have to use those draft picks to build your roster for the future. So if you miss on your rookie picks, it could potentially tank your team that you had a good team for a couple years, and then you got compete against people to get back to that roster. And one bad draft can actually cost you the entire league if you were a good team. You never know what's going to happen with a player. People retire all the time and stuff like that. I got one more surprise draft pick for us that did not get taken in this draft. It's Dylan Sampson from Cleveland. Considering the fact that Jukins got his legal troubles and there's no guarantee that he starts week 1, I got a feeling that Sampson could carve out a key role for the Browns. If for any reason Jukins misses a decent amount of time, he's good. Don't sleep on him. He's going to get touches. He's getting touches in the preseason. They like what they see. He's moving up the depth chart. Once again, he's a good stash player. I'm surprised he didn't get drafted. Tap in with him if he's around.
So we're recording this just after our draft. So once this is released on Saturday, our first round of waivers going by, Sampson's actually one of the players that I'm going after. So I want to have a backup Jukins Sampson. And then there's also a rookie tight end from the Rams that I'm going after as well, along with Tyler Higbee. So if it plays out the way that I want it to, which you guys will find out on the next episode, then I will end up grabbing 2 tight ends that I needed that fills in my tight end gap. And then I might be getting another running back, which could still round me off. So honestly, that'll kind of balance out my team quite a bit. I might have a small weakness in wide receiver, but not even, because I got Mike Evans, I got Jameson Williams, Josh Downs hopefully has a good season. I've been thinking about trading him, so if you're interested in him, Corey, so let me know.
Hey, I got a question for you. One person that has been absolutely forgotten about is Jonathan Brooks, running back for Carolina.
That's because of all the injury issues he's been having, but I think Carolina got another running back out there too. Like, well, that seems to be a dicey situation.
That's what I was getting into. So they drafted Jonathan Brooks pretty high. He had that knee injury. He still has not played. I still do not believe he's off the physically unable to perform list. Will he be back? Maybe. We'll see when he gets there. But Carolina made a move in this draft that a lot of people didn't acknowledge and slept on that I actually kind of like. And they took Trevor Entine.
I saw they did that. I don't know. I'm not really that faithful in him. I watched him throughout college. He's a lot smaller than his brother, a little bit slower. A lot of teams kind of looked at him. They kind of were like, they weren't that impressed. I don't know. I don't think he's better than his brother.
I didn't say he's better than his brother. What I will say is you said what I was getting to. He's a smaller back. I like him to be a good third down fit for that team. That's why I brought Jonathan Brooks into the equation, because if he comes back and can get to any form like he was in college, and then you got N9 at the third down position, that running back tandem for Carolina can actually turn into something pretty dangerous pretty quick. I'm not saying it's going to happen right away. It's going to be something that's going to happen throughout the course of the season, Pay attention to that.
So C's gone through his roster quite a bit. I haven't quite touched on mine yet. So that way it kind of makes sense of what I did with my draft and why I kind of moved the way that I did. So looking at my team, at quarterback I have Patrick Mahomes. Then I have Hampton, Swift, Mike Evans, Javonte Williams. Here's my tight end thing. I got Theo Johnson for the Giants. Then I have Josh Downs in my flex. Brian Robinson, my other flex. Then I'm taking my rookie Jack Beck in my other flex spot. And then for my super flex, I'm using J.J. McCarthy. Sitting on my bench, Geno Smith, Joe Flacco, Trey Benson. Now, if nobody knows about him, he's the backup running back for the Cardinals now.
James Conner is known to get injured from time to time.
And he's on his way out. Remember, he's an 8-year Pro Bowler. So, on his way out there. Then I have Quinshawn Judkins, which we were talking about a moment ago. Drafted him. We're going to see how that goes. I have Austin Eckler, who's the backup. Justice Hill, which is, I know it's crazy for me to have him on my team, but, I've played him quite a bit. He produces points. He gets a lot of touches. His stats are crazy. Not a lot of touchdowns, but a lot of touches. He had a bunch of 15-plus, 20-plus games last season. Then I have Sean Tuckner, part of the three-headed beast with Tampa. Then I have a couple reaches, Davon Bailey out of Denver, and then Calvin Austin, who Corey swears by. Sitting in my injured reserve is Tank Dell. Hopefully he comes back. And then in my taxi squad is Trey Tucker, Malik Washington, Josh Winnington, Luke McCaffrey, and then Shedeur Sanders.
All right, you came at me for Calvin Austin, but my man had multiple 50-yard touchdowns last year. How many wide receivers get multiple 50-yard touchdowns in a season? I'm not saying he's a guy that's going out and going to be the star of the team. Obviously, they got Metcalf. At best, he's running 3. If you need him in an injury situation or a plug game and he has a good matchup, you got to start this man because he has the capability of putting up a 10, 15-point week in a good matchup.
So he's currently sitting at the wide receiver 2 spot in Pittsburgh, and I'm looking at his stats from last season. He actually had some pretty good games. Week 3 against the Chargers, he had 25 points. Week 8 against the Giants, he had 20. Week 12 against Cleveland, had 18. Cincinnati had 13. Philadelphia had 12. Baltimore had 11. And then he mixes in a couple games where he has like a couple like 5 over, stuff like that. So not bad.
I know some of them point totals might have sounded a little crazy. We play in an inflated league, which means that the point system isn't a standard PPR league. We get bonuses and things like that for yard production, catch production. Our point value for touchdowns are inflated at certain positions, and we don't have kickers or defenses. All position players, and the point system is inflated. These points do not transition to a standard PPR league. We just want that to be noted.
Yeah, but if you like to know about our rules, anything like that, hit us up. We can actually show you guys how we have everything set up. And if you want us to go live with you guys on Instagram and talk about football or whatever, we will definitely chat about it. As we get closer to week 1, we'll start talking about matchups and things like that and lineups, so that way you kind of can go, and then we'll go probably week to week and let y'all know how we're doing and how our football matches are looking like for each week.
For the last segment we got for the fantasy football, what is one person that you think should be traded this year out of a dynasty league to benefit your roster for the future? I'm going to start. I got Geno Smith. Geno Smith is going to come out and have a decent year for the Raiders. He's going to put up stats. He has Jacoby Myers. He has Brock Bowers. They now have Gentry. They have a decent line. A decent line. It's not a great line. It's not an exceptional line. It's not the Dallas Cowboys. Don't take what I'm saying as that. But they have a decent line. What they've been missing for the last couple years is somebody that really can run the ball and open up the defense so that way they can pass it, because they always get stuck in these 2nd and 3rd and longs and they end up having to throw the ball because they didn't have anybody since Josh Jacobs, and even Josh Jacobs when he was there couldn't get it going until he went to Green Bay. Let's say I hope Gentry can come in and open up that offense, and if he does what I think he's going to do for them this year, it's going to open them passing lanes up, and you're going to be seeing the exact system that Seattle was running last year in Las Vegas. And guess where Geno Smith came from? Came from Seattle, and he's playing in the same system because Pete Carroll's there. Don't sleep on them Raiders this year. I could see them winning 8 games at least.
There you have it right there. And guess who's sitting on Geno Smith in our league? It is me. I'll probably do him and Jack Beck if they have great seasons. I'll probably end up trading both of them. I'll be honest with you. This is a really good year to trade Travis Kelce. This is a really good year to trade him. I'll be honest with you. Depending on what you get from your market, this also could be a good year to trade Derrick Henry. If you can get something shiesty in your league, depending on what your rules, Derrick Henry is a guy he's going to give you another couple of years, but if you can get him with some future picks, do a running back combo situation for him and some future picks, I would do something like that.
Being he gave you a second one, I'm going to give you a second one. Christian McCaffrey. Hold him and trade him because he's going to come out and he's going to be productive. And when he comes out and he starts being productive and he gets a couple games under his belt and he looks like the old him with the system they're running, off him and get your value for him while he's still valuable before he gets hurt and get out from under him before he ruins your season.
You got a sleeper player for this year? Just if we're doing like a standard like PPR draft league, let's see who is a sleeper player that you can grab like kind of late, maybe he's like a little bit slippery, that could really add to your team.
Honestly, this pick might actually surprise some people, but I like Adonai Mitchell from Indianapolis. They drafted him last year for a reason. He came in, and it wasn't that he wasn't open. He was open a lot of the time. He's from Texas, by the way. He was there with Xavier Worthy in that 1-2 tandem, so don't forget about Adonai. He can really fly and really catch the ball. Problem is, we didn't have the accuracy. Richardson came out late a dud. Now we got Richardson and Daniel Jones. Can either one of these guys show up and throw the ball? If one of them can show up and be productive in any form for Indianapolis, I feel like Adonai Mitchell ends up as the number 2 wide receiver by the end of the year. Pittman is going to be the number 1 unless Adonai Mitchell can find a way to beat him out, which is a possibility. I've always said that I don't believe Michael Pittman is a true number 1. That's part of the reason our offense has always struggled because we don't have somebody that can truly stretch the field. He is a great route runner. He is a great number 2 at best, but he is not a true number 1 receiver, and we haven't had a true number 1 since T.Y. Hilton. Adonai has the chance to become that if the rapport can be built with the quarterbacks that we have, but that's really the biggest question because Josh Downs and Alec Pierce, Downs is coming back off an injury for the second year. Alec Pierce is 50-50 at best and has drop issues. The only true wide receiver we have is Pittman. I think he turned 31 this year, so he's starting to get up there too. So we need this plethora of young receivers to start getting to work.
If you find yourself in the middle of this draft, you need a running back. Do not forget about Chase Brown from Cincinnati. Do not forget about that young man. I know he got hot and went off, but he's not a name that's talked about often, so he's going to be easy to forget about. So you'll find yourself in the middle of that 4th round, and all these high-end players, actually, you probably wait till the 6th round, depending on what league you're in. If you find him floating around there, go ahead, pick him up. He's going to get you some points, I promise you.
Chase Brown is definitely a sneaky pick, and you got to keep in mind who's throwing that ball. It's Joe Burrow, so them holes are always open. If you got any questions, comments, likes, concerns, hit that comment section. Let us know what your questions are. We'll give you our advice on who we think you should take. I got 9 links down there I need you guys to tap in with. Bonfire.com/shop/alienware is our merch site. We got all kinds of stuff up there. Shirts, t-shirts, shorts, hats, whatever you need. Tap in with that. If we don't got it, we can post it. We got an Apple link, a Spotify link, and a YouTube link down there so you can catch all the episodes in full, including this episode. Whichever platform works best for you, we got the link too. We got an Instagram as well. They got shorts, highlights, and reels. Tap in with that if you don't got time to watch the full episode at Middle Thoughts Podcast. If you need any video edits, any artwork, any album covers, tap in with the Savage Source video editing service. We can bring your dreams to life. It's still hot outside, guys, so tap in with the Liquid Hydration Multiplier. They got deals and coupons down there. Keep your hydration up. Stay safe in this heat. Hulu got 30 days free with the link down below. Who doesn't like free entertainment? Sam's Club's got a 50% off membership. Tap in, get some back to school supplies. They got everything you need in there. You can buy in bulk, save a little bit of money. We appreciate everybody listening. Everybody have a wonderful day. And once again, let us know how we did. Hit that comment section for us. A seed out.